François-Eustache Du Caurroy, baptized on the 4th of April 1549, was a French composer of the late Renaissance era. He was a contemporary of composers like Claude Lejeune and was influential in the late 16th and early 17th centuries. He is most known for his sacred music, especially his Requiem Mass, but also wrote secular music and works for the royal courts. Du Caurroy was born into minor nobility in Gerberoy, Oise, France. His musical talent was evident from an early age, and this likely contributed to his appointment as a chorister at Sainte-Chapelle in Paris by his teen years. Du Caurroy's early life was primarily spent in the religious and academic surroundings typical of a young man of his social standing. His first notable instructor in composition was probably one of the maîtres at Sainte-Chapelle. Although specifics about his formal education are somewhat scarce, it is widely believed that Du Caurroy absorbed the polyphonic practices of Franco-Flemish composers like Josquin des Prez and Orlando di Lasso, as well as the emerging innovations in French chanson from composers such as Claude Lejeune. François-Eustache Du Caurroy began his long-standing relationship with the French royal court around the age of 20, first as a singer and later as a composer. His services were held in high esteem, leading to his appointment as composer of the chamber for 3 French kings, Henry III, Henry IV, and Louis XIII. In 1583, he was awarded the title of sous-maître de la chapelle royale, effectively making him the second in command of the royal chapel. Du Caurroy was involved in various royal events, such as coronations and funerals, and this was especially evident when he composed the music for the funeral of Henry IV in 1610. Even though he had died the previous year, his compositions were still held in such high regard that they were performed posthumously. Du Caurroy's music was mostly sacred in nature, though he did compose some secular pieces. His most famous work is the Requiem Mass, Missa pro Defunctis, which was performed at the funerals of French kings for nearly 200 years. His other works include motets, hymns and psalms. He also published a collection of 53 fantasies for instrumental ensembles in 1610. His sacred works often display complex counterpoint and a mastery of imitative structures, drawing inspiration from earlier Franco-Flemish traditions. Du Caurroy was an eminent figure in the musical life of France until his death in 1609. He left a lasting impact on sacred music in particular. His Missa pro Defunctis remained a staple at royal funerals in France until the time of Louis XIV. He was also known to have been an educator, and his theoretical contributions to music, while not as extensive as his compositions, were nonetheless significant. François-Eustache Du Caurroy died in 1609, but his influence persisted through the 17th century and beyond. His work is regarded as bridging the late Renaissance and early Baroque periods, and he is often cited for his mastery of polyphonic techniques and for his role in the development of French sacred music. In his lifetime, Du Caurroy won the esteemed Prix d'Evreux competition 3 times, a prestigious event that assessed the musical talents of composers. The recognition at these competitions further solidified his standing as a leading composer of his time. François-Eustache Du Caurroy remains an essential figure in the history of French music. Through his works, especially his Requiem, his influence extended well beyond his lifetime, leaving a lasting imprint on the French musical landscape for generations to come.